Welcome back to Access Houston on 97.9 The Box.
Good Sunday morning. You're listening to Access Houston. I'm your host, KG Smooth. Welcoming on the program for the first time, she leads the Tammi Durden Ministries, and it's just great that she is here on a Sunday morning. Ladies and gentlemen, Pastor Tammi Durden is in the building. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing well. So nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine. I'm feeling all that get up and win energy that you have here.
Yes.
Which is actually the name of your book.
Mm-hmm.
Get up and win.
Yes.
Get up, dust yourself off, and win.
Yes.
So you've been through a lot. What was the inspiration or the motivation behind writing this piece here?
Well, if you have about 10 days and I can tell you about it, but let's make a long story short.
We'll do the amended version.
Yeah, let's do the amended version. So there was a time in my life several years ago, I experienced what I call my tsunami of setbacks. And so I was happily married at the time. I owned a mortgage company, successfully thriving business for 7 years. I was living the dream, KG. I was living the dream, 3,700 square foot home on the lake. I could go out on my balcony and see the ducks on the lake, and I could go out to my pier and fish if I wanted to. Living a dream. My daughter had her own suite upstairs. I was married to a minister, and things seemed to be well, and then life happened. Life happened. And so that thriving business that I owned, you may remember the mortgage crash that happened around 2007. 08. Yeah, 2008. Around that time. So my business didn't make it. Business went under. So during that same time, my marriage is failing now. I'm on my way to divorce court because my minister husband attempted to molest my daughter. And so now I have a failed marriage. Yes, a failed business. And so because the business was my primary source of income, now the money's gone. So I'm bankrupt, losing the houses because I can't pay the mortgage. One night, KG, I get up and I go to get a drink of water. Outside the glass doors on the front of the house, I see some red tail lights. Well, it was the record truck that was coming to tow my car, to repossess my car. And so now failed marriage, failed business, no husband, a broken daughter, car repossessed, no money, rock bottom. And so
it sounds like a Lifetime movie.
That's a good idea.
Life.
Can you call Tyler? But
it sounds like a Tyler Perry blueprint script here. But continue. This is fascinating.
Yes, and so it was at that point where I hit rock bottom. I was broke and I was broken. Didn't know which way to turn. Everybody that said they were my friends at that time, they were nowhere to be found. They were gone. As a matter of fact, they were talking about me. I heard the whispers and the gossip of my business in the streets of things while I was hurting and while I was broken. And so that series of experiences is what motivated me, prompted me, and led me to write the book, Get Up, Dust Yourself Off, and Win.
And wow, what a story. There. So what? How did you find the strength? I mean, because that's a lot at one time.
Yes, that's all.
At one time.
At one time,
all of that.
And it was a point where I thought I was going to lose my mind. There were circumstances and days where I would just cry myself to sleep. In the dark. One reason was because the lights were turned off because I couldn't afford to pay the light bill. And so I'm in this big 3,700 square foot home in the dark, crying myself to sleep, not knowing how I was going to face the next day. Because, we can put on the mask and we can dress up and fix up and look like everything's good and fine and okay to the world. But on the inside, I was broken. I was a hot mess. And so existing was, for me, just making it to the next day was a part of it. And so eventually, through a whole process and series of things in which I share in the book, is how I was ultimately, of course, with the help of God, was able to overcome them. And so I wanted to share those principles and my story to get the message out to help other people.
No doubt. You're listening to Access Houston. We're talking to Pastor Tammi. Her book, Get Up, Dust Yourself Off, and Win, available right now. And through this book, you have now turned it into a conference, the Get Up and Win Conference. So what can folks expect at the Get Up and Win Conference?
Woo, at the Get Up and Win Conference.
She said, woo.
Yes,
so,
I'm
so
excited.
you already know you're about to,
KG,
y'all about to get it in.
Yes, I'm excited about it. This year, we're having the worthiness experience. We're talking about worthiness in dating, relationships, marriage, because when you are set back in life and when you don't have you've experienced a bad marriage before or an abusive relationship before, or it just wasn't good, you get to the point where you feel like I'm not worthy of being married again or having a good marriage or any of that. And so at this conference, we're bringing together an amazing group of relationship experts that will have breakout sessions, bring your questions. You know, I personally know so many single women and single men. Men are invited to the conference on October 5th that are struggling, trying to find the right person. The relationships aren't working. And so we're bringing the women and the men together. We're going to get some great expert relationship information, wisdom, tools, and techniques that's going to help us to be able to have those relationships, to have those healthy marriages, and to just live our best lives.
Yeah, I like the title of it.
Yeah.
The worthiness experience. Wow, I still can't get over. I'm still thinking about your story because I can only. My mind couldn't fathom having all of that at one time, especially when your husband was
a minister,
right? Who was doing these vile things to your daughter. I mean, I'd probably be in jail.
Right. You know, the blessing in it is that he attempted, but thankfully didn't go all the way. So I'm grateful for that.
Okay.
But the mental, just the mental stress and weight of being able to deal with all of that. And, I'm a PK, I'm a pastor's kid, born and raised in church, love the Lord, know the Lord. But life happens to the best of us. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what your upbringing is or how strong you are. Life just happens. And so it's important in those times to remember to not quit and give up, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how low you go, no matter how dark it is. If you're still living and breathing, you still have purpose for your life, and you can always get up, dust yourself off, and win.
No doubt. Now, of course, I mean, I know you talked to God the entire time, and the Lord was your strength. Did you also seek any professional help? Did you sit down to talk about all of these things to get your mental back, to get yourself back balanced and the way that you were? Absolutely.
And so I got counseling. My daughter got counseling. We had family counseling. Get the help. And that's another message. I think a lot of times we're ashamed to get help, or we think we look weak if we, go and get some help, some counseling, some therapy, or all of that. But yes, we had to get counseling. We had to get the help that we needed to push past this and push through it so that we can, become whole again. And it's okay to get help, whether it's a life coach or whatever it is. Just, I encourage everyone, get the help that you need.
Indeed. And this is coming from a pastor,
yes,
y'all. So, that whole stigma around therapy and counseling,
right.
Like you have a pastor who is following the word of God that's telling you, like, look, the Lord put people on here with these intellectual powers and
education
the spirit and
skills.
education, to help others.
That's right.
That's so
right.
glad. Yeah.
Of course, we need God. We know God. We definitely. But at the same time, and that's how our conference is both spiritual and practical. You need both of them. In order to be able to live a successful life, you need practical things to live by, and of course the spiritual. So we bring those two together so that people can live their best life.
Indeed. And for all my single folks out there, or people who are divorced, or you're looking for love in all the wrong places, I'm gonna tell you, the Get Up and Win conference, they are going to focus on how to date after divorce and dating as a parent. A lot of tips to grow an effective relationship. I need to be at this thing.
Come through, KG. Come through.
Come on. Where can people get more information to, like, is there a registration?
Absolutely.
Where they need to go?
You can go to getupandwin.com to register for the conference. We would love to see you there. It's going to be at the Hilton Houston Post Oak by the Galleria. Again, getupandwin.com. You can grab your tickets, bring your boo, bring your spouse, bring your girlfriends. We have couples tables, we have singles tables, and it's going to be an amazing event, a life-changing event.
Indeed. And then what about worship service?
Worship service is every Sunday at New Faith Praise and Worship Center at 10 a.m. Stop by and come worship with us at New Faith on the north side of Houston.
Indeed. And before we go, for those like the worthiness experience, what do you hope people walk away from after having the worthiness experience?
Yes, it will be an experience. After walking away from the worthiness experience, what I expect and what I hope is that people will leave with something that will transform their lives. Whether it's one piece of information, maybe they'll connect and meet someone there. Maybe, that people will leave saying, you know what, I am worthy. You know what, I'm going to get my act together in this marriage and make it work. And that it will be a life-changing experience, that they will receive something that will change their lives for the better.
And what a word to end it on this Sunday morning. Pastor Tammi Durden of the Tammi Durden Ministry, I appreciate you. Get the book. Get up, dust yourself off, and win. It's available now. And log on to...
go to getupandwin.com and grab your tickets for the conference.
And it's happening this weekend, so especially this Saturday, October the 5th, 10 until 2 at the Hilton Houston Post Oak right there by the Galleria. Thank you. It's so nice to meet you, Pastor
Nice
Tammi.
meeting you.
Thank you for bringing this, all of this great energy in the studio. I appreciate that.
Thanks for having me.
Good Sunday morning. You're listening to Access Houston. I'm your host, KG Smooth, welcoming back to the show. It's been a few years since she's been on, but she is here. She is a licensed esthetician and the CEO and founder of Soap, Washes, and Grooming Essentials. You may have seen her. I'm sure you have seen her on Shark Tank because her episode gets reran 11 times. Most cities on the lovely Lydia Evans. Hey.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me, KG.
It's so good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
And on the phone line, we have the director of the Outreach Innocent Project. Ladies and gentlemen, Anna
Vasquez.
Hey, Anna, good morning. Welcome.
Hi, KG and Lydia. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here, lady. So you all are here. We are here to talk about an event that is coming up on Saturday, October the 5th at the Buffalo Soldiers Museum, the Sanaa Expo.
Yep. I'm so excited.
So, well, tell us, what is the Sanaa Expo exactly?
Oh, my goodness. The Sanaa Expo is a blend, it's a fusion of beauty and philanthropy. So it's where people that are in the beauty, arts, culture, wellness, and health sector kind of get together and celebrate a much needed and well-deserved nonprofit. And this year, we are kicking it off with the wonderful Innocence Project of Texas. And that's kind of where Anna comes in at because she represents them.
Yeah. So, Anna, tell us about the Innocence Project.
Absolutely. So the Innocence Project of Texas works on behalf of all citizens and helping them to prevail what was once a wrongful conviction and could possibly be serving time in Texas prisons at this particular moment.
Mm-hmm. And that happens more often than not.
Yes, it does. Sadly.
That happens more often than people actually realize. Unfortunately.
Can you give us a few numbers? What are we looking like nowadays when it comes to this issue?
Oh, my gosh. You know, we at the project go through at least 100 to 200 letters a month, and we have a backlog of hundreds of cases sitting in, you know, where they're a prospect for us to be helping them to prove their innocence. And, you know, it just takes time and it takes money and it takes, you know, these experts for us to bring in to prove the person's innocence.
Yeah.
So I think everybody pretty well knows that once you get involved in the justice system, it moves at a snail's pace.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I remember my first time getting arrested in Cincinnati, Ohio, when I was in college. And it took me forever to get out. I was like, man, they are quick to throw you in, but slow to get you out. And I was just there on a traffic citation. And I was just like, really? Like, you all are this aggressive over a suspended license that I didn't even know was suspended because I still got my valid driver's license. But yeah, that's wild. You listen to Access Houston. We're talking to Lydia Evans of SW&G Essentials and Anna, who is the director of outreach at Innocence Project. The Sanaa Expo is happening on Saturday, October 5th at the Buffalo Soldiers Museum. So you all are going to have some big names at this expo. Lyd, you want to tell us about some of the folks who are going to be there?
Oh, yes. Well, I would actually like to start with the person that's on the phone. And that is Miss Anna Vasquez. And she is not only the director of outreach and education at IP Texas, she is also an exoneree herself. And she was involved in a very nationally recognized case where there later been referred to as the San Antonio 4, but she has an astonishing case about being wrongfully accused and what she went through in that process and overcoming that and being on the other side of it, forgiveness, understanding, sympathy, compassion, and how her life has been exalted to a place that she's been allowed to reinvent herself from what the public had pegged her as. And so she will definitely be bringing a wonderful aspect to the event, because I think the wonderful thing is it's one thing to be a part of an organization because you're hired to do that. Mm-hmm. It's another thing to have lived it and existed in it. And if you're not familiar with Anna Vasquez, I highly suggest you Google San Antonio 4. The story it'll blow your mind. The second person is Lisa Price. Yes. And Lisa's a longtime mentor of mine. And she is actually a huge catalyst behind why I was able to continue going for so many years. Yeah. And didn't give up, because she too had a story of growing her brand from her brownstone into a multi-million-dollar brand, and it's later launching into South Africa. And there's not a store you can't walk into and not see Carol's daughter. Yeah. She's on HSN on a regular basis, and she is a huge pioneer in natural hair, beauty, and wellness. And then the third person is Mr. Raymond Santana. And as you know,
Raymond Santana, one of the exonerated 5.
He is one of the exonerated 5, and he is a sweetheart. And he's been so kind at Anna's request to join us for this event. And he will be coming out to, of course, same thing, paralleling what Anna would be talking about, kind of talking about that transition of being wrongfully accused, going through that, how that affects your life. But then on the other side, how you can turn lemons into lemonade. And I want to give a special shout out to those guys, because When They See Us, written by Ava DuVernay, was just awarded an Emmy.
Yeah.
Jarrell
Jerome won.
They took it home for him. They
for
needed
a limited
that.
Series. Listen.
Light needs to be spread on this.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
There would have been major issues if Jarrell Jerome had not won that lead actor award at the Emmys, because even after I saw the series, I was like, just give him all the acting awards. Give them all to him, because he absolutely
he portrayed Corey Wise.
Oh my gosh.
But more so than anything,
young
what I
and
love
older
is it's the light that it's bringing to this, because this is a community issue. It's plaguing us. I mean, so many innocent people are being snatched out of our community of all different walks of life, shades and tones. And so that's what Sanaa is about. Sanaa means work of beauty in Swahili. So for me as a beauty expert, that kind of is where I come into the play of it. And the philanthropy, I just have a heart for that. And so then I was like, who and what cause could really use this, the funds from this? And that's kind of how we merged it.
Indeed. You're listening to Access Houston, talking to Lydia Evans of SW&G Essentials and Anna Vasquez, Director of Outreach at the Innocence Project. So, Anna, what can we expect from you on Saturday?
I'm sorry, what was that? What can we
expect from you on Saturday? What do you have in store for us?
Reality.
Oh.
Ooh,
reality.
Okay.
A realistic story, or not even a story, but a story that Raymond and I will share with you all that will just blow your mind. And the thing that's so frightening is that it can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
No one is, this can happen to anyone, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Rich, poor, black, Hispanic, green, red, whatever. It does not matter. Unfortunately, it happens all too often.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just thankful that, Lydia, that she did come to the aid of the Innocence Project of Texas, because it is going to help with the funding to help others that are in need.
Which is
Anna.
way more than what it should be. But I don't know if it was Raymond himself, or if it was Youssef or Corey. One of them were talking about how, when confronted, I think they were asked if they had talked to the prosecutor who sent them away, and just everyone that was involved in that conspiracy to have these then,
They were
boys,
teenagers, babies, technically,
Yes.
locked up, and
as grown men, don't leave that
right.
part out.
Yeah.
Just traumatizing all by itself.
Oh yeah.
Jesus.
Oh yeah. And I believe what they were saying, that what they heard, or when they, I don't know, I guess some of them may have confronted some of the folks that were involved back then, that they knew that these boys, these men were innocent. And by the time that they were in too deep, like, it didn't matter to them, because for them, they were saying, like, well, this is political, and we need to
somebody needs to get locked up.
Somebody needs to get locked up, and we need to make a statement. And in my mind, I'm just like, how can one human being just ruin another human being who is totally innocent and have no regard for their life, their families, none of that. And it's beyond heartbreaking.
Oh yeah.
To know that people's MO is to literally just mess up brown and black people's lives.
Yeah. And, the funny thing I
Absolutely.
wanted to say about that is that it's beyond one person. That's the sad part. And that's what makes it so hard.
Right.
It's a system. It's an entire system.
It is a system.
Not everyone in it is that way. Let me put that out there.
Yes,
because
just
I have
like
people
all
that
cops
are
aren't bad cops.
Yes,
All, everybody's not right. But
right.
But however,
nevertheless, yeah. So I honestly. I'm one of those crazy creatives, and so my mind is always looking for a place of growth and a place of reverence that I can serve. I love what I do. I love the beauty industry. I love all of that. It's so much fun. It's so much fluff. It's so much.
Sure.
It's great, but it's beyond that and below that. Below the surface of the superficial is so much ugly in life that you have to deal with. And so I could have easily held an expo that would just be about the fluff, about the haircuts, about the dye in the hair, about the makeup application, just fill the stage with all kinds of fluff, because that is my industry. I'm a girl's girl. I love it. However, that's not where my soul lies, and that's not the type of person that I was raised to be. I was raised to use my platform. No matter how big or small it is, my father always raised me to use my platform.
And you're using it in a great way. Just
Yeah.
and to underscore what you just said, that is how I use this platform.
Yeah.
And why I am so, gung ho for minorities and people of color who are struggling and who need to know what is going on.
Yeah.
Services that are offered to us that we may not know about, and just that unapologetically, Black, Latino pride, because that is Houston. But Houston, you save the date for this Saturday.
Yep.
October the 5th at the Buffalo Soldiers Museum, the Sanaa Expo. It is going down. You can get more information at SanaaExpo.com. That's SANAA Expo.com. Lyd, Anna, what should people expect? What do you hope that they walk away from after this? Let me end with that.
Well, I'll let Anna start with what she wants people to walk away from. Walk away with.
I want people to walk away with the knowledge that they need to not only realize that, wrongful convictions happen all over the world, but not only that, but people need to know their rights.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not one to promote, police officer violence or anything like that, but we need to arm ourselves with the right to know. We need to know our rights as citizens, and that can go huge.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Indeed. Lyd?
I want people to walk away with an open mind. I represent for the underdogs. So I want people that come to this to walk away, to come in, right? But I want them to walk away with an open heart and an open mind, less judgment, more understanding, less finger pointing, more compassion, and less separation and segregation, and more unity amongst us. So that's really what I want to walk away with. I'm going to have everything there from henna to a juice bar. I mean,
Nice.
You name it. So it's going to be a variety of people from all kinds of walks of life. But the common goal is that everyone there will be working on their work of beauty.
Indeed. So we will see you Saturday at the Buffalo Soldiers Museum. Anna, thank you so much. Anna Vasquez,
Anna.
the Director of Outreach
Absolutely.
at the Innocence Project. I appreciate you. And, of course, my friend, partner in this whole thing, Lydia Evans from SW&G Essentials. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, KG. Pleasure's
Thank
always
you.
mine. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you for listening to Access Houston.